Hi everyone, I just wanted to provide you a short video to explain a little bit more detail about the different upcoming assignments. The next one that will be coming up due, aside from this marketing activity, which is pretty self-explanatory, the program plan part 3 will be due April 16th. There are a lot of details in the videos up here in the week 9 and 10 module for you about the program details. I have received a few questions though, however, about the program plan part 4. The program evaluation. So I wanted to talk just for a few minutes about what should go into the program evaluation for this assignment. So thinking about the program plan evaluation assignment, it should be no more than 5 pages if you want to write it as a paper format. However, you can also write it in a chart format like you did for the goals and objectives assignment. If that works for you, you can continue to present your information in that way. But either way, no matter how you format it, you'll need to provide both the formative evaluation plan and the summative evaluation plan. You want to make sure it's tied directly to your program goals and objectives. So you'll want to refer to that handout that was in the week 6 module, and you'll notice it's also in this week 9 and 10 module here under the course resources. This handout will give you everything you need to know to submit for the assignment. It talks about the different types of evaluation, how to disseminate, and gives you some examples in the chart of what the formative evaluation should look like for both the program objectives and the learning objectives. And this is for both the formative and summative evaluation, in addition to how to disseminate the evaluation pieces. So looking back to the presentation, just to give you a little bit of details, you can look at the presentation in more detail on your own, but I just wanted to point out a few things about formative evaluation, being that this is something that you do during the planning and implementation stages. That way you can make changes to the program while it is in progress. So you'll want to make sure to be thinking about, what can you do while you're planning the program and while the learning event is happening. Here's an example. So if your first program goal is to have full classes, then your strategy might be to review the program marketing and recruitment strategies while you're developing the program to make sure you're reaching the target audience. That'll help you to meet your first program goal of having full classes. So that's an example of the formative evaluation strategy. If you note, it's here in this chart as an example. So here's your formative evaluation to the first objective. Make sure you have an evaluation plan for each objective that you list, both for formative and summative evaluation. So just like I said, making sure you have a formative evaluation plan for each program objective and learning objective. Another example here, if you want learners to have a positive impression of the program, one of your formative evaluation strategies could be to monitor the participants' reaction to the instruction. That will allow you to make adjustments if they're not reacting favorably. You might ask, how can you monitor their reactions during instruction? Well, you can do that informally, read their body language, or maybe formally by having them submit mid-class feedback forms or through an online survey, etc. So now looking at the formative evaluation for a learning objective, thinking about if your participants can identify and define basic terminology of the internet. Your formative evaluation might be to monitor the learners in the course to determine if they're keeping up with the instruction. Formative evaluations don't typically involve a test where they're going to have to, have high stakes and receive a grade. It's often something that allows you just to gauge their progress and see if your instruction is working. So you might look at their body language again in this case. Look and see if they're confused. You could ask questions. You could have them do in-class activities that aren't graded to demonstrate that they're getting it. You could engage them in discussion. There's a lot of different ways you can do a formative evaluation during the class to make sure that you are on your way to meeting those learning goals. If you have a similar formative evaluation for each learning objective, that's okay too. You don't have to come up with something creative for each one. You could have a very similar set of criteria for your formative evaluation for your learning objectives. And I believe that is what is in the chart here. Yeah, it's the same for each one. You might have a little variation. This chart has the same thing for each one, so it's up to you. For summative evaluation, now this is something different than formative evaluation. Summative evaluation, as it says summative, is conducted at the conclusion or after the conclusion of the program. This will tell you to the extent which the program has met the goals. How successful were you? It comes in 3 parts. So you talk about who's responsible, how it's going to be conducted, and what the criteria for measuring your success will be. So for example, thinking about the first objective for the program plan. Maybe going back to that first example, if your classes will be full. So you might have a criterion stating that you're going to measure your success by if you had 20 students. So looking at the chart here, for that first objective of classes will be full, the summative evaluation and criteria, it tells you who, the program planner. They're going to count the number of students enrolled, and the target number is 20. So you'll know if you've been successful by that evaluation criteria if you have 20 students or not. The other piece of the summative evaluation is making sure you disseminate the information. So you'll want to make sure you give this information to the relevant organizations that can use this information. As it mentions down here in this presentation, your evaluation isn't useful if it sits on a shelf and is not used, especially the summative evaluation. It should be designed with the end user in mind. The key issues are to whom is the summative evaluation data reported and how is it reported. So think about how it's going to be used. Program planners are most often going to use your evaluation findings to revise curriculum and instructional methods for subsequent offerings. And you'll notice that the dissemination of summative evaluation information is located in that chart in D2L. So you'll want to refer back to that when you have questions about the dissemination portion. Most of the time, like I said before, the ones for the learning goals and objectives will be mostly given back to the program planners or the instructors. So if you're looking for more information on how to complete the program plan part 4, the program evaluation, just take a look at the program goals and objectives document. That's this document here. And you can also look at this presentation again to just go over the different pieces that you need for the assignment. You can also contact me by email if you have additional questions. All right, I hope everyone has a great week, and hopefully this gave you a little bit more information on how to do that program evaluation, the program plan part 4.